The massive ships cut through space like silver knives. Commander HFY stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the small blue planet grow larger on the main screen. His forearms crossed behind his back as he studied their target. Sol 3, the third planet from a yellow star. The locals called it Earth. HFY was confident. He had done this 847 times before. His species, the Dominion, had built an empire across the galaxy by following a simple plan. Find a primitive world, show up with overwhelming force, demand surrender, take what they needed, move on to the next target. The intelligence reports made this mission look easy. The humans had only recently discovered nuclear power. Their spaceships ran on chemical fuel like ancient rockets. They still fought wars with metal bullets. Most of their planet had no contact with each other except through primitive radio waves. "Sir, we are approaching the atmosphere," reported his second-in-command, Officer Krillnex. Her voice carried the usual excitement that came before a new conquest. "The humans have noticed us. Their radio chatter has increased by 400%. HFY nodded. Fear was normal. The primitive species always panicked when the Dominion arrived. Soon they would send desperate messages begging for mercy. Then would come the formal surrender. It was always the same pattern. "Take us down to the designated landing zone," he ordered. "Activate the intimidation displays. Make sure they understand our power." The 12 ships in his fleet descended through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. Their energy shields glowed bright blue against the sky. Warning beams shot out in all directions, painting geometric patterns across the clouds. The ships were designed to inspire awe and terror in primitive minds. But as they broke through the cloud layer, something felt wrong to HFY. The gravity here was much stronger than his homeworld. He could feel it pulling at his body, making his breathing apparatus work harder. The atmospheric pressure readings showed numbers that made him frown. This world was denser than their intelligence had suggested. "Sir, we have reached the landing coordinates," Krillnex announced. The location is what the humans call Central Park in their city of New York. Through the main screen, HFY could see the landing zone below. It was a large green space surrounded by massive structures that stretched toward the sky. Primitive, but larger than he had expected. The intelligence reports had not mentioned buildings of this scale. "Begin the landing sequence," he commanded. The flagship touched down with a thunderous roar, its massive bulk settling onto the soft earth. Steam rose from where the ship's heat melted the morning frost. The other 11 ships formed a perfect circle around the flagship, their weapon systems active and ready. HFY prepared for his grand entrance. He put on his ceremonial armor, the one decorated with the skulls of creatures from conquered worlds. He checked his translation device and his personal shield generator. Everything had to be perfect for the moment of first contact. The landing ramp extended with a mechanical hiss. HFY stepped out first, his boots making contact with alien soil. This was the moment that always filled him with pride. The moment when another world fell to the might of the Dominion. But instead of the expected silence of terrified prey, he heard something strange. Voices. Many voices. And they did not sound afraid. As his eyes adjusted to Earth's bright sunlight, HFY saw something that made no sense. Humans stood just beyond the safety perimeter his ships had created. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. But they were not running. They were not hiding. Instead, they held small devices up toward his ships. Flashes of light came from these devices. "What are those weapons?" Krillnex asked, raising her energy rifle. HFY activated his translation device and listened to the human voices. The words that came back made him even more confused. "Did you get a good picture? This is amazing, real aliens. I wonder if they're friendly. My video is going to get so many views. These humans were taking pictures, they were documenting the invasion like it was some kind of celebration. Some of them were even smiling. A few had children with them, small humans who pointed at the ships with obvious excitement rather than fear. A small, furry creature approached, the landing ramp. HFY had never seen anything like it. It had a bushy tail and bright black eyes. Instead of fleeing from the alien presence, It sat up on its back legs and made chittering sounds. It seemed curious about these visitors from space. "Sir," Krillnex whispered, "the humans are not responding according to the invasion protocols." Before Zexhai could respond, he heard the sound of ground vehicles approaching. Human military forces, no doubt. This was more familiar. Now would come the show of force, the desperate attempt to resist followed by quick surrender when they realized how outmatched they were. But when the human vehicles arrived, they stopped at a respectful distance. Soldiers got out, but their weapons remained lowered. They formed lines but took defensive rather than aggressive positions. Their leader, wearing more decorations than the others, walked forward alone. The human removed her helmet, revealing the strange flat features of her species. Her hair was black with streaks of gray. She approached the landing ramp with steady steps that showed no fear. "Welcome to Earth," she said in clear, loud words. "I am Secretary General Chen of the United Nations. We have been expecting you." Expecting them? Zexhai activated his personal translator to make sure he understood correctly. Yes, she had said expecting, not fearing, not surrendering, expecting. Secretary General Chen did something that no primitive leader had ever done during first contact. She extended her right hand toward Zexhai in what his translator identified as a greeting gesture. Zexhai stared at the offered hand. In 847 conquests, no species had ever tried to shake hands with him during an invasion. They usually threw themselves on the ground and begged for mercy. "You may call me Secretary General Chen," the human continued when he did not take her hand. "I represent the people of Earth in matters of interplanetary relations. We have prepared accommodations for your delegation and would be honored to discuss the terms of our mutual cooperation." Mutual cooperation. The words hit Zexhai like a physical blow. She was talking about working together. She was treating this invasion like a diplomatic meeting between equals. Behind Secretary General Chen, more humans arrived. They set up what looked like small tables and began placing objects on them. His translator caught fragments of their conversation. "The coffee should stay hot for another hour. Did anyone remember the vegetarian options? I hope they can eat our food. This is so exciting." They were setting up refreshments for the invading army. They had prepared snacks and drinks for the aliens who had come to conquer their world. Zexhai felt the crushing weight of Earth's gravity pressing down on his shoulders. His breathing apparatus made a wheezing sound as it struggled to process the thick atmosphere. The bright sunlight hurt his eyes, and the strange sounds of this world filled his audio sensors with confusing noise. For the first time in his military career, Commander Zexhai began to wonder if the Dominion had made a serious mistake. This was not going according to any protocol he knew. These humans were not behaving like any species he had encountered. As more reporters arrived and the crowd of curious humans grew larger, Zexhai realized that his perfect invasion was already falling apart, and they had not even started the formal conquest yet. Something was very wrong with this world. 3 days had passed since the Dominion fleet landed in Central Park, and Commander Zexhai was beginning to understand that this was not a normal conquest. Nothing about Earth was normal. The gravity was crushing his soldiers. 2 had already collapsed and needed medical attention. Their bones, evolved on a lighter world, could not handle the constant pressure. The rest moved slowly, their energy drained by simply existing on this heavy planet. Their weapons were not working properly either. The energy rifles that could punch holes through starship hulls barely scratched Earth's thick atmosphere. The particle beams lost focus in the dense air. Even their personal shields flickered and failed as Earth's strange magnetic field interfered with the technology. Worst of all was the communication problem. Earth's magnetic field was so strong it blocked their neural implants. The soldiers could not share thoughts directly anymore. They had to use voice communication like primitive beings. For a species that had fought as a collective mind for centuries, this was like being suddenly struck deaf and blind. "Sir," Officer Krillnex reported. Her voice strained as she tried to stand at attention under the oppressive gravity. 2 more soldiers are showing signs of atmospheric stress. Medical Officer Trenkol says their breathing apparatus cannot handle the pressure indefinitely. Zexhai nodded grimly. He was having trouble breathing too. The air here was so thick it felt like breathing soup. His 4 lungs worked overtime just to extract enough oxygen to stay conscious. Every breath was an effort. Outside their defensive perimeter, the humans continued their bizarre behavior. Instead of cowering in fear or preparing desperate attacks, they had turned the invasion into some kind of festival. Food vendors had set up stalls. Musicians played strange sounds they called music. Children drew pictures of the alien ships with colored sticks and gave them to the soldiers. The human military maintained their respectful distance. They had set up checkpoints to control the crowds, but their weapons remained lowered. Their leader, Secretary General Chen, visited twice each day to ask if the Dominion needed anything. Medical assistance, food, water, technical support. It was humiliating. Sir, Krillnex continued, the humans have sent another diplomatic message. They want to schedule a formal meeting to discuss trade agreements and cultural exchange programs. Trade agreements, cultural exchange. These humans still thought this was some kind of peaceful first contact. They did not seem to understand that they were being invaded. Zexhai activated his communicator. Send a message to Secretary General Chen. Tell her I will meet with her today. It is time to make our intentions clear. 2 hours later, Secretary General Chen arrived in a simple ground vehicle. She wore no armor and carried no weapons. Her small security detail also looked relaxed, almost casual. She walked up to Zexhai's command tent as if she was visiting an old friend. Commander Zexhai, she said with a smile that showed her white teeth. Thank you for agreeing to meet. I hope your people are comfortable. Comfortable. His soldiers were barely surviving, and she asked if they were comfortable. Secretary General Chen, Zexhai began, trying to make his voice as threatening as possible. You misunderstand our purpose here. We are not traders or explorers. We are the Dominion. We have come to claim this world for our empire. Chen nodded as if this was perfectly normal information. She took out a small device and made notes on it. I see. And what exactly does that mean for the people of Earth? It means you will surrender your planet to us. Your resources will serve our empire. Your people will obey our commands. This is not a negotiation. This is conquest. Secretary General Chen looked thoughtful. She put away her device and folded her hands in her lap. Commander, I appreciate your directness. However, I'm afraid we must respectfully decline your offer. Decline. She had declined his demand for surrender as if he had asked to borrow her vehicle. You do not understand, Zexhai said, his voice rising. We are not making an offer. We are informing you of reality. The Dominion has conquered 847 worlds. Your primitive civilization cannot resist us. I understand completely, Chen replied calmly. You are a military force with advanced technology, and you want us to give up our sovereignty. It's not an unusual request, actually. Earth has dealt with aggressive neighbors before. We have certain protocols for these situations. Protocols for invasion. These humans had procedures for being conquered, Chen continued. May I ask about your previous conquests? What kind of worlds were they? Zexhai found himself answering despite his confusion. Garden worlds, paradise planets, civilizations that had never known hardship or struggle, peaceful, species that had never faced extinction. Ah, Chen said, nodding again. That explains the misunderstanding. What misunderstanding? Commander, Earth is what we call a death world. Life here has survived 5 major extinction events. Ice, ages that lasted millions of years. Asteroid impacts that boiled the oceans. Volcanic eruptions that blocked out the sun for decades. Plagues that killed 9/10 of all living things. She spoke about these catastrophes as if they were minor inconveniences. Humans evolved on a planet where everything tried to kill us, Chen continued. The weather, the geology, the other life forms, even the bacteria in our own bodies. We survived by becoming very good at not dying. Zexhai felt a chill run through his body despite the heat of Earth's sun. We've been through ice ages and meteor strikes and supervolcanic eruptions, Chen said conversationally. We've survived plagues that make your energy weapons look gentle. We've had nuclear wars and global warming and something we call the Black Death that killed half our population in some regions. She paused to sip from a container of liquid. We recovered from all of it. That's what we do. We adapt, we survive, we rebuild, and we get stronger. Your threats do not frighten us, HFY said, but his voice lacked conviction. I'm not making threats, Commander. I'm sharing our history. Would you like to hear about our wars? We've been fighting each other for thousands of years. We've developed weapons and tactics and strategies that most species would find absolutely terrifying. The good news is that we've mostly stopped fighting among ourselves. She smiled again, and this time HFY noticed something predatory in that expression. These days we prefer diplomacy, Chen said, but we remember how to fight when we need to. It's like riding a bicycle. You never really forget. HFY had no idea what a bicycle was, but the meaning was clear enough. I should mention, Chen added casually, that we've been monitoring your communications with your fleet. Your technology is quite impressive, but our electromagnetic environment seems to be causing some interference. Also, our gravitational field appears to be affecting your crew's health. Perhaps we could arrange medical assistance? She knew about their technical problems. She knew about the sick soldiers. She had been watching everything. We will discuss this further tomorrow, HFY said, desperate to end this meeting. Of course, Chen replied, standing up easily under the crushing gravity that was slowly killing his soldiers. I'll have our people prepare some information about Earth's history for you. I think you'll find it educational. As she walked away, HFY realized that Secretary General Chen had not looked stressed or worried even once during their conversation. She had discussed the conquest of her world with the calm confidence of someone who had already won. That night, as HFY struggled to sleep under Earth's oppressive gravity, he wondered if the Dominion had finally found a world they could not conquer. Secretary General Chen had invited Commander HFY to dinner, not a negotiation or a surrender ceremony. Dinner, as if they were friends instead of enemies. The dinner took place in a building humans called the United Nations headquarters. HFY needed help from 2 soldiers just to walk up the steps. The gravity here made every movement feel like he was carrying twice his own weight. Chen, meanwhile, climbed the stairs as if they were flat ground. The dining room was simple but elegant. Humans had prepared food from all over their world. Though HFY could only consume the specially prepared nutrients his medical team had approved. Chen ate with obvious enjoyment while HFY struggled to process the idea that his invasion force was having dinner with the enemy. I thought, you might like to learn more about human history, Chen said as she cut something called meat with a sharp metal tool, since you mentioned that most of your previous conquests were peaceful species. She had prepared a presentation using a flat-screen device. Images appeared, showing Earth's past. Let's start with our planet itself, Chen said. Earth has experienced 5 major extinction events in the past 500 million years. Each one killed between 70 and 95% of all life on the planet. The images showed devastation beyond HFY's imagination. Asteroids striking the planet with the force of millions of nuclear weapons. Volcanoes covering entire continents with molten rock. Ice sheets kilometers thick, covering most of the world's surface. This is the most recent ice age, Chen explained, showing a world covered in white. It ended only 12,000 years ago. Humans not only survived it, we spread across every continent during the coldest period in our planet's history. She changed the image to show primitive humans hunting massive creatures with simple stone weapons. These are mammoths. They weighed 6 tons and had tusks like spears. Humans hunted them to extinction using nothing but teamwork and pointed sticks. HFY stared at the image. His own species had never faced anything more dangerous than small herbivores on their peaceful homeworld. Of course, the real challenge wasn't the big predators, Chen continued. It was the small ones. Bacteria, viruses, parasites. Microscopic creatures that killed more humans than all the wars and disasters combined. She showed him images of diseases that had swept across human civilizations, the Black Death, Spanish flu, plague outbreaks that killed millions. We learned to fight back, Chen said. We developed medicines, vaccines, surgical techniques. We turned our own immune systems into weapons against disease. The average human today carries antibodies against dozens of illnesses that would kill most alien species in hours. She paused to sip her drink, something called wine that would be poisonous to Dominion physiology. But you mentioned military strength, Chen continued. Let me show you some of our conflicts. The next images made Zexai's stomach turn. Battles involving millions of soldiers. Weapons that could destroy entire cities. Wars that lasted not months but years, sometimes decades. This is World War II, Chen explained. It lasted 6 years and involved every major nation on Earth. Somewhere between 70 and 85 million people died. We learned a great deal about industrial-scale warfare during this period. She showed him pictures of machines that looked nothing like the crude technology his intelligence reports had described. Flying vehicles that moved faster than sound, ships that could carry thousands of soldiers across oceans, weapons that could kill at distances his own energy rifles could not match. These are relatively primitive by our current standards, Chen said casually. This war ended 80 years ago. We've made considerable improvements since then. But these are chemical weapons, Zexai protested. Metal projectiles and explosive devices. Our energy shields can stop such primitive attacks. Chen nodded. Yes, we noticed that your shields work well against conventional weapons. Very impressive technology. Unfortunately, we stopped using conventional weapons for serious military purposes sometime around 1945. She showed him a new image. A massive explosion rising into the sky like a mushroom-shaped cloud. This is a nuclear weapon, Chen said. We developed these during World War II. The basic principle is nuclear fission, which releases energy by splitting atoms. One of these weapons can destroy an entire city. Zexai felt his breathing apparatus working harder as stress made him consume more oxygen. We built thousands of them, Chen continued. Large ones, small ones. Ones designed to destroy buildings. Ones designed to stop armies. Ones designed to create electromagnetic pulses that disable enemy electronics. She changed to another image showing a much larger explosion. This is a hydrogen bomb. It uses nuclear fusion instead of fission. Much more efficient. The largest one we ever tested had an explosive yield equivalent to 50 million tons of conventional explosives. You tested weapons of this magnitude on your own planet? Zexai asked. Oh yes. We tested over 2,000 nuclear weapons between 1945 and 1996. Above ground, underground, underwater, in space. We wanted to understand exactly how they worked in different environments. Chen spoke about weapons of mass destruction the way Zexai might discuss different types of food. Of course, nuclear weapons are somewhat outdated now, she continued. We've developed more precise methods of warfare, cyber warfare, biological weapons, directed energy systems, kinetic bombardment platforms, autonomous weapon systems. She showed him images of devices he did not recognize. Silent aircraft that were invisible to sensors, projectiles that struck targets from orbit with no explosives, just the devastating force of gravity and speed. The key insight, Chen said, is that humans have been fighting each other for our entire recorded history. Over resources, territory, ideology, religion, politics. We've gotten very good at it. If you are so warlike, Zexai asked, why haven't you destroyed yourselves? Chen smiled, and again Zexai saw something predatory in that expression. Who says we haven't tried? We've come close several times. Nuclear war, environmental destruction, resource depletion. But we always survive. We adapt, we learn, we improve. She leaned forward slightly. The thing about humans, Commander, is that we're persistence hunters. We don't give up. Ever. If you wound us, we become more dangerous. If you kill some of us, the survivors become harder to kill. If you destroy our cities, we build them back stronger. She paused to let this sink in. We've been through ice ages and plagues and wars and disasters that would end most civilizations. Each time we not only survive but emerge more advanced than before. It's what we do. It's what we've always done. Zexai realized his hands were shaking. The weight of Earth's gravity seemed to be crushing him more with each passing moment. "You asked about our military capabilities," Chen said. "Would you like to see our current defensive systems?" Before Zexai could answer, she activated her device again. The screen showed a map of Earth's orbital space. Hundreds of objects moved in precise patterns around the planet. "These are just the ones we want you to see," Chen said. "Military satellites, weapons platforms, defense networks. We've been preparing for the possibility of hostile contact since we first detected radio signals from other civilizations. You knew we were coming?" "We've been monitoring interstellar traffic for decades, Commander. We detected the conquest of the Altair colonies 3 years ago. We've been tracking your fleet since you left Dominion space." Zexai felt the crushing realization that nothing about this invasion was going according to plan. "We really would prefer to be friends," Chen said gently. "But if you insist on being enemies, well, we've had a lot of practice with that too." They set foot on Earth, and instantly knew it was their downfall. Part 4. By the 6th day of the invasion, Commander Zexai's forces were falling apart. Half his soldiers were too sick to fight. Their equipment continued to malfunction in Earth's thick atmosphere and powerful magnetic field. 3 soldiers had been hospitalized after trying to pet something humans called a house cat, which had injured them with what appeared to be small knives growing from its feet. The humans called these weapons claws, and they insisted the creature was domesticated. That was when Secretary General Chen suggested a field trip. "I think it would help if you understood our world better," she said during their morning meeting. "Perhaps you would like to see some of our local wildlife." Zexai agreed, hoping that seeing Earth's creatures would give him some advantage in understanding this impossible planet. Chen arranged transportation to a place she called Australia. The journey itself was educational. The human aircraft moved faster than anything in the Dominion fleet except their fastest fighters. It flew through Earth's thick atmosphere, as if the crushing density was no obstacle at all. Worse, the humans seemed to consider this normal transportation, not advanced military technology. "Australia has some interesting animals," Chen explained as they flew over an ocean that stretched beyond the horizon. "Most of them are fairly harmless by our standards, but I thought you might find them educational." They landed at a facility humans called a research station. The local humans greeted their visitors with the same casual friendliness Zexai had encountered everywhere on Earth. They seemed genuinely excited to show off their native creatures to aliens. The first animal they showed him looked like a small brown and black snake. "This is a coastal taipan," the human researcher explained. "One bite can kill 100 adult humans. The venom attacks the nervous system and blood vessels simultaneously." Zexai stared at the creature. It was less than 2 meters long, but contained enough poison to kill an entire Dominion squad. "How do you handle such dangerous creatures?" he asked. "Oh, they're not really dangerous if you know what you're doing," the researcher replied. "We've developed anti-venom for most of our venomous species. Plus, they usually try to avoid humans anyway." They moved to the next enclosure. Inside was something that looked like a spider but larger than Zexai's head. "Huntsman spider," the researcher said cheerfully. "This one isn't deadly, just really big and fast. They're actually quite helpful. They eat the smaller spiders that are venomous." "The smaller spiders are more dangerous?" "Well, the funnel web spiders can kill you in about 15 minutes if you don't get medical treatment, but we have anti-venom for those too." They showed him creatures that injected paralyzing venom. Creatures that delivered electric shocks powerful enough to kill large mammals. And something called a blue-ringed octopus that was beautiful and could kill 26 adult humans with a single bite. "How do your children survive on this world?" Zexai asked. "Education," Chen replied. "We teach them which animals to avoid and how to get help if they encounter dangerous wildlife. Most human children can identify deadly creatures by the time they're 5 years old." 5 years old. Dominion children did not leave protected environments until they reached adolescence. The next demonstration was even more disturbing. The humans showed him something called extreme sports. "This is rock climbing," Chen explained, showing him a video of a human ascending a vertical cliff face using only their hands and feet. No mechanical assistance, just human strength and skill. Zexhai watched in horror as the human climbed, hundreds of meters above the ground with nothing to catch them if they fell. This is free diving, Chen continued. Humans hold their breath and dive as deep as 200 meters underwater using only their lung capacity. The video showed a human swimming down into dark water until they disappeared from sight. Here we have skydiving. Humans jump from aircraft and fall through the atmosphere using only a fabric parachute to slow their descent. Why do they do these things? Zexhai asked. For fun, Chen replied. Recreation, entertainment, the excitement of testing their limits. Fun. Humans threw themselves off cliffs and jumped out of aircraft for entertainment. Of course, some humans prefer more social activities, Chen continued. This is swimming with sharks. The video showed humans in the water with massive predators that had rows of knife-like teeth. Sharks are apex predators, the human researcher explained. They've remained virtually unchanged for 400 million years. Perfect killing machines. Some humans like to swim with them to study their behavior. Are the humans wearing protective equipment? Just a breathing apparatus. The sharks rarely attack humans. We taste terrible to them, apparently. They showed him humans who had survived diseases that would kill entire Dominion colonies. Humans who had lost limbs and replaced them with mechanical devices. Humans who had been injured in ways that would cripple any civilized being but continued to function normally. We're quite resilient, Chen said, watching Zexhai's growing horror. It's a survival trait. On a world like Earth, the ones who couldn't adapt didn't pass on their genes. The final demonstration took place at a human medical facility. Chen showed him their hospital, where humans treated injuries and illnesses that would be considered fatal on any Dominion world. This patient survived a vehicle crash at 120 kilometers per hour, the doctor explained. Broken bones, internal injuries, trauma that would kill most species. She'll be walking again in 2 months. This one was struck by lightning, the doctor continued, indicating another patient. Direct hit. His heart stopped for 4 minutes. We restarted it and repaired the tissue damage. Full recovery expected. How do you repair such damage? Surgery. We cut into the body, fix the damaged parts and sew it back together. Very routine procedures. The doctor spoke about slicing into living tissue as if it was normal maintenance work. We've been doing surgery for thousands of years, the doctor continued. Heart transplants, brain surgery, replacing damaged organs with artificial devices. The human body is quite repairable if you know the techniques. Zexhai realized that humans regularly performed medical procedures that would be considered torture by Dominion standards. They cut each other open and rearranged internal organs as routine treatment. Of course, the most impressive thing about humans is their psychological resilience, Chen said, as they toured the children's ward. These young humans are recovering from injuries that would mentally break most adult members of civilized species. But human children bounce back from almost anything. She showed him a child who had lost a limb but was laughing and playing games. Another child who had survived severe burns but was cheerfully drawing pictures. Children who had experienced trauma that would require decades of therapy for Dominion adults, yet seemed happy and optimistic about their futures. We recover, Chen said simply. We adapt, we heal, we move forward. It's what humans do. It's what we've always done. As they flew back to New York, Zexhai sat in stunned silence. He had seen creatures that were living weapons, humans who treated mortal danger as entertainment, and children who bounced back from experiences that would shatter adult minds of civilized species. I hope this helps you understand Earth better, Chen said as they approached the landing zone where the Dominion fleet waited. Zexhai nodded slowly. He understood now. Earth was not a planet of primitives waiting to be conquered. It was a world that had spent billions of years turning out the most dangerous, resilient, adaptable species the galaxy had ever produced. And he had brought 12 ships to invade it. They set foot on Earth and instantly knew it was their downfall. Part 5 on. The 10th day of the failed invasion, Commander Zexhai received an emergency communication that made his worst fears real. The message came directly from Dominion. High Command, encrypted with the highest security protocols. Fleet Commander Zexhai, the voice of Supreme Admiral Kothran crackled through the interference of Earth's magnetic field. Report your status immediately. 3 other invasion fleets have gone silent. You are the only commander still maintaining contact. 3 other fleets. Gone silent. Zexai felt his breathing apparatus struggle as panic made him consume more oxygen. The Dominion had launched 4 simultaneous invasions of primitive worlds. His was the only force that had not mysteriously disappeared. "Sir," Officer Krillnex reported, her voice weak from days of fighting Earth's crushing gravity. "Long-range sensors detect no trace of the other fleets. No debris fields, no distress signals, no evidence of battle. They simply vanished." Secretary General. Chen chose that exact moment to request another meeting. She arrived at his command tent with her usual calm confidence, apparently unaffected by the gravity that was slowly killing his soldiers. Today she carried a small case and wore an expression that seemed almost apologetic. "Commander Zexai," she said, settling into a chair as if she weighed nothing. "I'm afraid we need to have a more serious conversation." "What happened to our other fleets?" Zexai demanded. Chen opened her case and removed a device that projected a 3-dimensional map of local space. Red dots appeared in several locations, each one marked with Dominion fleet designations. "Let me show you," she said. The map displayed the positions of all 4 Dominion invasion forces. Zexai could see his own fleet at Earth marked in green. The other 3 fleets were marked in red and labeled as inactive. "This was Fleet Commander Mortek at the Centauri colony," Chen said, indicating the closest red dot. "His forces encountered some technical difficulties. Equipment malfunctions, navigation errors, life support failures. Very unfortunate." "You destroyed them?" "We defended ourselves," Chen replied calmly. "When someone attacks a human settlement, we tend to respond decisively." She changed the display to show another red dot. "Fleet Commander Vashkol attacked one of our research stations at Wolf 359. His ships experienced what our military calls catastrophic existence failure." "And the 3rd fleet?" "Commander Kethnar made the mistake of threatening our mining operation in the Vega system. We couldn't allow that to continue." Zexai stared at the map. 3 entire invasion fleets, each one as powerful as his own, had been eliminated by these supposedly primitive humans. "How?" he whispered. Chen touched the device, and the display changed again. Now it showed Earth's local space but filled with objects that had not been there during his original approach. "I mentioned that we've been monitoring interstellar traffic," she said. "What I didn't mention is that we've been preparing for the possibility of hostile contact for quite some time." The objects on the display were ships. Human ships. Dozens of them, sleek and predatory-looking, positioned throughout the solar system. They had been there all along, hidden and waiting. "Our intelligence suggested the Dominion was expanding in this direction." Chen continued. "We've been tracking your movements for 3 years. We knew approximately when you would arrive and how many ships you would bring. Why didn't you attack us immediately? Because we hoped you might be reasonable. We always preferred diplomacy to violence, but we also believe in being prepared." She touched the device again. The display zoomed in on Earth itself, showing the orbital space around the planet. More ships appeared, along with weapons platforms and defense stations that Zexai's sensors had never detected. "This is just what we wanted you to see," Chen explained. "Our actual defensive capabilities are considerably more extensive. How many ships do you have?" "Enough," she replied. "The human fleet is designed for a very specific purpose, Commander. We learned long ago that the best way to win a war is to make sure the other side never wants to fight you again." She stood up and walked to the tent's entrance, looking out at his struggling soldiers. "Your people are dying here," she said softly. "Earth's gravity is too strong for them. Our atmosphere is too dense. Your equipment doesn't work properly in our electromagnetic environment. This is not a sustainable military operation." Zexai knew she was right. His invasion force was being defeated not by human weapons but by the planet itself. "I'm going to make you an offer," Chen continued, turning back to face him. "You can leave, now, today. Take your ships and your soldiers and go back to Dominion, space. We'll provide medical assistance for your injured personnel and technical support to help your ships reach safe harbor. And if we refuse?" Chen's expression hardened slightly. Then you'll discover why 3 other invasion fleets went silent. She activated her device one more time. The display showed the human ships beginning to move, converging slowly on Earth's orbital space. Their weapon systems came online, painting Zexhi's fleet with targeting beams. "We really don't want to fight you," Chen said. "War is expensive and destructive and causes unnecessary suffering. But if you force us to defend ourselves, we will do so with the full capabilities that billions of years of evolution on a death world have given us. You would destroy us all? Commander, your species evolved on a peaceful garden world. You've conquered 847 other garden worlds inhabited by species that never learned how to fight for their survival. You've never encountered anything like humanity because there is nothing else like humanity." She paused, letting this sink in. "We are what happens when evolution occurs on a planet that's trying to kill everything that lives on it. We are the species that survived ice ages and extinction events and plagues and disasters that would end any civilization you've ever encountered." Zexhi felt the weight of Earth's gravity pressing down on him like the inevitability of defeat. "We've been watching you for 10 days, Chen continued. "Your soldiers are brave and disciplined, but they're not adapted for this kind of world, or this kind of warfare. They're suffering and dying just from existing here." She was right. His invasion force was beaten not by superior weapons, but by simple incompatibility with this hostile world. "I'm offering you the chance to leave with honor," Chen said. "Take your people home. Tell the Dominion that Earth is not available for conquest. Find worlds that are suitable for your species and your way of life. And if we return with a larger force, then you'll meet the same fate as the other 3 fleets. Commander, humanity has been preparing for interstellar war since we first detected radio signals from other civilizations. We've had decades to design weapons and strategies specifically for fighting species like yours." She looked at him with what might have been pity. "You're not the first empire to think humans would be easy prey. You won't be the last. But if you're smart, you'll be among the ones who learn from this mistake and avoid repeating it." 2 hours. Later, the Dominion fleet began its painful departure from Earth's gravity well. Their hulls were scarred from atmospheric entry they were never designed to handle. Their equipment was damaged by electromagnetic interference. Half their personnel required medical treatment for gravitational stress syndrome. As the ship struggled to reach escape velocity, Zexhi composed his final report to High Command. Sol 3 designation, Forbidden Zone. Species classification, Apex Predator. Military recommendation, no further contact advised. Diplomatic recommendation, avoid this sector entirely. He paused, then added a personal note that would become required reading for all Dominion military commanders. "They welcomed us with smiles and refreshments. We should have recognized it for the threat display it was. Humanity is what happens when evolution occurs on a world designed to kill everything that lives on it. They are the single most dangerous species we have encountered. Recommend immediate reclassification of all human-occupied space as hostile territory." In his private log, never to be shared with High Command, Zexhi made one final entry. "We came to conquer a world of primitives. Instead, we learned that primitives who survive on a death world don't remain primitive. They become apex predators with nuclear weapons and the patience to plan for wars that haven't started yet. They become something far more dangerous than any military force in the galaxy. They become human." The Dominion fleet limped away from Earth's solar system, their crews forever changed by the encounter with humanity. Behind them, the blue-green world continued its peaceful rotation, its population returning to their normal activities as if nothing unusual had happened. In the halls of the United Nations, Secretary General Chen filed her report with a simple conclusion. "First contact protocol successful. Hostile force departed without engagement. Recommend continued monitoring of approaching vessels and maintenance of current defensive postures." Earth remained what it had always been, a death world inhabited by the most dangerous species in the galaxy. The only difference was that now at least some of the galaxy knew it.